If you're in search for that natural tropical paradise, surrounded by azure blue water where you can be out on the lagoon all day and kick back under the stars on a balmy evening, dreaming of somewhere so remote that only 2 of the 27 atolls are inhabited, well, this is the perfect episode for you. Hey, I'm Steph, and I'm obsessed with all things travel, marketing, branding, and helping you stand out from the crowd. In just under 2 years, I went from being a home-based travel agent with zero clue how to make it work in the digital world to launching an international ranking travel podcast and creating an online course to help travel agents in lead generation. Here's one thing I know for sure. There has never in the history of the world been a better time to create the travel business you've always wanted. All you need is an actionable strategy and someone to show you the way. Picture this, we're going to spend the next hour of our time together at the Swim Up Pool Bar where over a cocktail, we deep dive into travel-related topics, mixed with a little classroom training. This show is dedicated to encouraging you to step outside of your comfort zone and into your travel business. I'll show you how I did it and how you can too. Hit subscribe now and let's get into it. If you're a travel agent wanting to onboard your perfect fit clients into your biz, download my free cheat sheet for lead generation systems you can use right now. Head to stephaniemyers.academy/cheat sheet. You're listening to Unplug in Paradise, the podcast. Hello and welcome back to Unplug in Paradise. My name is Stephanie Myers and I'm your travel agent and host. Wow, if you've been tuning in lately, you would be absolutely gobsmacked as I am and completely in awe of these stunning destinations here in our very own backyard. Today's episode, we are jetting back over to the west coast of Australia to a little island group called the Cocos Keeling Islands. Some of you may have heard of it before, but what I'm finding is that most haven't. They don't even know where it is, let alone have heard of it before. So here we are. We're shining spotlights on some very hidden gems in our very own backyard. And today, with the lovely assistance from Linda Cash at Indian Ocean Experiences, joining us back on the show. She paints an absolutely stunning picture of the experiences awaiting you on Cocos Islands. So be sure to pop this episode on while you're resting, meal prepping, or whatever it is that you're up to. Pop it on and let your wanderlust fly. So let's do it. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Before we begin, as we are both on country today, would you please join me while we recognise the generations of the local Aboriginal people of the Bundjalung Nation who have lived in and derived their physical and spiritual needs from the forests, rivers, lakes and streams of this beautiful valley over thousands of years as the traditional owners and custodians of these lands. In today's episode, we are uncovering Australia's last unspoilt paradise, the Cocos Keeling Islands, which lies in the azure waters of the Indian Ocean, surrounded by coral atolls and uninhabited islands. Joining me today is Linda Cash, our East Coast representative for Indian Ocean Experiences. Welcome to the podcast, Linda.
Thank you, Steph. Nice to be back.
If you're tuning in and looking to really complement this episode, can I suggest that you please pop us on pause and head over to our previous episode together featuring Christmas Island. Reason being is that they are tropical island sisters and can easily be visited in conjunction with each other, and this is the perfect flow-on from that episode. So, Linda, I know in our last episode we touched on your first-hand experience living and working on Christmas Island, and it was so incredible to hear about your time on the island. We also dived into your background in the travel industry. Would you mind giving us a quick little recap?
Sure, not a problem, Steph. So yes, I lived on Christmas Island for 10 years, and during that time I visited the Cocos Keeling Islands, approximately once a year. So around about 10 visits I've done to the Cocos Keeling Islands.
Mm.
So I've worked in the travel industry for over 15 years now, and initially as Christmas Islands marketing manager, and then representing Australia's Indian Ocean Islands with Indian Ocean Experiences.
Mm.
And I'm also an auditor, an eco-auditor with Ecotourism Australia. So my background is slow and sustainable ecotourism.
I love that. Yes, it's definitely the way forward. Is most of the properties on Cocos Keeling Islands, are they sustainable?
Yes, a lot of the experiences on the Cocos Keeling Islands are sustainable and follow the principles of ecotourism. It's a destination that is very untouched. So, you've got a maximum of 600 people living in this destination, and there's only flights to the islands twice a week. So, it's a very sustainable destination in terms of there is no mass tourism, there's no incredible numbers of people, and everything on the islands is recycled.
Oh, very cool. If you were to describe Cocos in a few words, what would they be?
The quintessential tropical island paradise. Think of those postcards you've seen of the Maldives and the Cook Islands and Fiji, the beautiful azure waters, the white sandy beaches, the coconut palms. That's Cocos. That's the picture you need to paint in your
Oh
mind.
my gosh. So there is actually such a huge difference between Christmas Island and Cocos Island, even though they're quite close to each other.
Oh, totally. The geography of the islands is so different. So they actually share the same underwater ridge. So it's the same ancient volcano that actually created the Cocos Keeling Islands that also created Christmas Island. The difference being is that on the Cocos Keeling Islands, there's actually 26 different islands.
Mm.
25 of them are in the southern atoll, and the 26th island, which is North Keeling Island, is a national park, and that's quite a way offshore. So what it is, think of it as the rim of the volcano, but only the top 10 or so meters is actually popping out of the ocean, and that's actually created all these individual islands.
Oh.
So very unlike Christmas Island, which is just a single island raising out of the ocean. Cocos is 26 islands, very, very low lying islands, beautiful, magnificent sandy beaches. So, yeah, very different geographically. They complement each other beautifully.
Mm.
We actually call it the rock and reef
Oh,
experience. So Christmas Island is the rock in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and Cocos is your low-lying quintessential tropical paradise island. So if you're looking for that soft adventure as well as that fly and flop, yeah,
yes.
we can offer you both.
And who wouldn't want to do that?
Exactly.
So, whereabouts is Cocos Keeling Islands in relation to Christmas Island and where it is geographically?
So geographically, it's 2,900 kilometres off the coast of Perth. So it's in a northwesterly direction off the coast of Western Australia. It's about halfway between the West Australian coast and the Indian subcontinent. So that's where it actually sits. In relation to Christmas Island, it's about 900 kilometres southwest.
Okay.
So it's about a 1.5 hour
Mm-hmm.
flight from Christmas Island.
Okay. Oh, that's not too far. And how can we get to Cocos Keeling Islands? Do we have to, we fly from Perth?
Exactly, you fly from Perth. So Virgin services Christmas Island and the Cocos Keeling Island. It does a triangle service twice a
Oh,
week.
okay.
So, for example, on a Tuesday, it goes Christmas, then Cocos, then Perth. And on a Friday, it does Cocos, then Christmas, then Perth, which means you can get between the islands very easily.
Okay. So there would be a minimum night stay because you could only get in or out twice a week.
Correct. Yes, correct. So your minimum night stay is three
Oh,
nights.
okay.
We do recommend 4 nights or 7 nights because of the variety of things to do. There's so much to do on the Cocos Keeling Islands.
Okay. And do you still need a passport to get to Cocos?
No, not at all. So it's an Australian island. It's an Australian territory. So same as Christmas Island, you don't actually need a passport. you just travel on your driver's license or some sort of photo identification, but you do leave from the international airport, and that's for customs and quarantine purposes, because these islands are so unspoiled. We need to be very careful about what actually goes onto the island. So you do go through customs and quarantine when you leave
Yeah.
Perth.
And of course, if you're visiting internationally, you definitely need to have your passport when you're flying anywhere in Australia.
Correct.
So, what are some of the amazing activities and experiences that you can have on the island? Cocos Keeling Islands do cooking classes and things like that. It does have quite a heavy Asian influence, am I right?
Oh, correct. The culture on Cocos is really quite unique. So there is it's actually recognised as an Indigenous culture, the Cocos Malay. The island was settled way back in the 1600s. You may have heard the stories of the Clunies Ross dynasty. So the island was settled way back when, and it was actually privately owned right up until 1974. So the Clunies Ross dynasty actually settled the islands for coconut plantations and for the production of copra. And for the production, they actually brought across a lot of Malay people from the Malaysian archipelago, and they settled on Cocos and have now become the main population base of the Cocos Keeling Islands. So it's almost like travelling to Malaysia when you go across to Home Island. So there's 2 islands in the Cocos Keeling Islands that are inhabited. Out of the 26, there's only 2 inhabited. One is Home Island, which is the home of the Cocos Malay people. And then you've got West Island, which is where the airport is, which is where a lot of the accommodation is, and where most of the facilities are. But on Home Island, you can actually get a ferry service across the lagoon. And on Home Island, you can, yep, as you said, do cooking classes with the local Malay population. You can do tours, cultural tours, and you can even stay in the original house of the Clunies Ross dynasty, Oceana House, which is, quite a unique experience.
Okay, cool. So the township of Home Island is only very small, I'm imagining.
Correct, yes. There's only about 400 people live on Home Island. There's only about 200 people live on West Island. So the whole population of the Cocos Keeling Island is only around about 600 people.
Okay, right. So the distance between Home Island and West Island, is it very far in the scheme of things?
It's about 9 kilometres across the lagoon, serviced multiple times daily by a ferry. It's got to be the best public transport option in Australia, because it literally costs you $2 to go from Home Island. Oh, it might have gone up to $2.50 now, to go from Home Island to West Island and back, or vice versa, and you're crossing one of the most stunning tropical lagoons you will ever see.
Oh my gosh.
So Direction Island was actually named Australia's best beach in 2018. It is accessible by ferry twice a week, on a Wednesday and a Saturday.
Okay. I love that. That's it's what a welcome.
Well, you can basically, when you go across to Direction Island, you can basically have your own island for the day. It's just, it's quite incredible. It's like the, again, that Robinson Crusoe experience, or that, Survivor, Cocos Keeling Islands. You're literally on an uninhabited island. The only thing you've got is a shelter. You've got beautiful turquoise water to swim in. There's a little swimming pontoon, and there's one of the best experiences you can do on Cocos Keeling Islands, which is swim the Rip. Should I tell you a bit about the Rip?
Yeah, sure. I haven't heard of the Rip.
The Rip. So at the end of Direction Island, between Direction Island and what's called Prison Island, there's a section of water that actually always flows into the lagoon, and it is one of the best adventure snorkel experiences I've ever had. So what you do, you jump in off the island, and basically the current takes you along the Rip, and it will always take you into the lagoon. So it's quite safe. So you're pretty much like Superman, just flying there with your mask and snorkel on, flowing into the lagoon. When you get to the end of the Rip, there is a rope that you can grab onto, and then you can get back to the beach. And it's one of those things that it's like a ride at the show. You've just got to keep going, doing it again. And the amount of marine life that you'll see in that adventure snorkeling experience is extraordinary. You'll see sharks, you'll see rays, you'll see tropical fish, you'll see coral, and it's just amazing. Literally Superman flying.
So you definitely need to go to Cocos with a GoPro.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And whereabouts are majority of the accommodations, and where's the airport?
Okay, so the airport and the majority of the accommodation is on West
Okay.
Island. So one of the things about Cocos is that it's very small. So the island, West Island itself, is 5 kilometres long and is only a couple of 100 metres
Hmm.
wide. So the airport almost goes the length of West
Oh,
Island,
wow.
and a lot of the accommodation is actually on the ocean side of the island. So you don't need to worry about an airport transfer when you land on Cocos, because you pick up your bag and you walk to your accommodation. So it's very close to the airport, but you don't have to worry about flights interrupting your holiday, because remember, there's only 2 flights a
Oh.
week. So so you don't have to worry about air traffic. The airport and the runway also double as the island's golf course.
Ah.
So it's the it's the only golf course in the world that actually you're playing across an international airport. It's a pretty
Oh,
funky way
that's
to
so
play a game of
funny.
golf. Yeah. So yeah, all of the accommodation is actually, or most of the accommodation is on West Island. And as I mentioned before, you do have on Home Island, you do have accommodation at Oceana House, which is the original family home of the Cocos, the Clooney's Ross
Okay.
dynasty. So the accommodation that you have on Cocos, there's a mix of different accommodation. Now, because it is so small, you don't have any large hotels, okay? It's all very small boutique style, very bespoke, all owner
Hmm.
operated. A lot of them are like beach houses, so you can actually rent the entire house. So great for families, great for couples. But you've also got some accommodations such as castaways, which are like private accommodation oceanfront, and there's different room configurations. So oceanfront, 2 bedroom, etc., 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom, etc. You've got like the village bungalows, which are like a resort style accommodation
Hmm.
around a sort of central area, a central barbecue area. You've got the cottages, which they actually won an award in the 2016 Tourism Awards. So they're a very popular choice on the
Hmm.
island. You've got Cocos Sea View, which are basically individual suites connected in a building right on the ocean front. So yeah, you've got lots of different choices of accommodation on Cocos.
And they are all beachfront, are they?
Yes, they are. Yes. So remember that the island is only a couple
Oh,
of 100 meters wide. So
they're all next
if
door to each other.
if they're not exactly, if they're not right on the Indian Ocean, they're like, steps away from the
Oh
Indian
my
Ocean.
gosh, it just sounds heavenly, doesn't it?
Ah, it is extraordinary. Yeah, as I say, that quintessential picture postcard tropical island, that's
Gosh,
Cocos.
it would be hard to leave. And I don't know whether 4 nights would be enough, Linda. You did say 4 nights, but 7 nights would be great.
Again, completely uninhabited. You've got snorkeling, you've got bushwalks that you can do on South Island. They'll even do hermit crab races with you, and they provide the best champagne breakfast you can possibly imagine. So there's really no better way to see some of the other islands than with the Cocos motorized canoe
Ah, it
safari.
sounds really fun. I like that idea. Not having to.
Oh, it is so much fun, and Kylie and Ash just make it the best fun trip.
I
Yeah.
can see that there's heaps of reef there, and I'm going to ask you, is there an opportunity to dive at Cocos as well?
There is indeed another one of the reasons that I loved going to Cocos, because I'm also a dive instructor. So scuba diving is one of my passions. And Dita and Karen run Cocos Dive on Cocos Keeling Islands. There is only one dive operator. So it's really important, if you want to dive on the island, to make sure you
Hmm.
pre-book, because, yeah, to make sure that they are going to be there. And the diving is extraordinary. So you've got lots of reef. You can dive inside the lagoon. You can dive outside the lagoon. And there is lots and lots of action. When I say action, that can be turtle action. There's 30,000 turtles live in the
Oh my
lagoon on
gosh.
Cocos. And also shark action. It's one of the sharkiest places on the planet, but obviously hopefully nothing that's going to eat you. Most of the sharks in the lagoon are those little black
Hmm.
tip reef sharks, just, you know, um, 60, 80, 100
Yeah.
centimeters long, and lots of reef sharks because, as you said, it's just surrounded by tropical reef. It's interesting to note that Charles Darwin actually formed his theory of coral reef evolution on the Cocos Keeling Islands when he sailed past in the
Oh,
Beagle. So it's there is some incredible history on the Cocos
yeah,
Islands as
wow.
well.
What's the depth of the lagoon? Do you know?
Oh, that's a really good question. I
Mm.
couldn't tell you. I know there are some beautiful blue holes in the
Mm.
lagoon, beautiful warm waters. So the water temperature on Cocos ranges between 26 and 28 degrees. And one of the other unique experiences on Cocos is that there is a resident dugong living in the lagoon,
Oh,
which is really unusual because it's not area for dugongs, but Cat, the dugong, has been living there now for about 15 years. So you will quite often encounter him on the diving as well, and as well as, beautiful dolphins and manta rays. There's a manta ray cleaning station on Cocos, as well as those 30,000 turtles that I
oh,
mentioned.
cool. The lagoon sounds like it's definitely the place for like stand-up paddleboarding and things like that as well. Do you find that people are going there for those sorts of water activities? Like that's the destination that you would go to if you wanted to, go and check out the lagoon, do it by stand-up paddleboard. Everything's on the water, as you said before.
Exactly. And it's perfect for kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding. And you can actually hire them on the island. Not a
Ah,
problem at
yes,
all.
that was going to be my next
Um,
question. They're pretty big, so hard to lug around.
Hard to lug around, exactly. No, you can definitely hire them on the island. And look, there are parts of the lagoon that you can only access in high tide, so that it is actually quite shallow. So it's perfect for learning to stand up paddleboard or to, really visit some of these little hidden inlets in some of the uninhabited islands. And as I also mentioned before, kite surfing, because the lagoon is perfect conditions for kiting in the
Mm.
windy season, which is July, August, September. It's perfect because it's shallow, it's safe, it's not crowded. Perfect place if you want to learn how to
Mm.
kiteboard.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever done that before.
Yeah.
I'd probably spend more time in the water than I would be standing up actually doing.
Oh, and that's not a problem at all. It's actually, and that's no dramas at all, Steph. It's lovely to be in the water. Yeah, so kite surfing is it's a great thing to do on the island. There are instructors on the island that can help you through that. Or again, you can actually do a tour to Cocos, for specifically
Oh,
for
cool.
kiteboarding, for
Oh,
kite surfing. Sorry.
sounds
Yeah, it's
great.
brilliant.
What are your favorite experiences on Cocos?
Oh, definitely the rip. So snorkeling the rip on Direction Island. I loved doing the canoe safari. That was absolutely brilliant. But of course, my passion is diving. So I think the diving there is sensational as well. So I couldn't pick one. I'd have to say all three.
And is there a particular dive spot on the island that is your favorite? Or is it a
Oh,
secret?
no. Well, Deisha will take you to
Okay.
all the best spots. I loved Cabbage Patch. It's actually called Cabbage Patch. It's in the lagoon, and it's called such because it is just full of cabbage coral. Like I have never seen so much cabbage coral in my life. Extraordinary. And it's also where I had my amazing tiger shark experience. So that's being a tropical island, being turtles, there are tiger sharks in the lagoon. So if anyone's keen,
Cocos Keeling at all? Yeah.
no, not on Cocos. No, they do
Oh, yeah.
come through Christmas
Hmm.
Island on their migration, but no, not
Okay.
on Cocos. There's occasional humpback whales seen off Cocos on the outside of the lagoon, but it's not something that you
No.
can guarantee.
So, Linda, you mentioned how we can combine both Christmas Island and Cocos Keeling Islands on the same plane ticket. How do we go about doing that?
Ah, great question, Steph. Indian Ocean Experiences have what we call a rock and reef package. So Christmas Island is obviously the rock, and Cocos is the reef. And the rock and reef package just gives you 7 days on each island, and it's a great way to do it because you're only flying. You're flying on the same plane. You basically fly out of Perth, fly to Christmas Island, spend 7 days, fly to Cocos Island, spend 7 days, and then fly back to Perth. So you're not having to do that long leg between Perth and the islands twice. You're just flying in between the islands. So yeah, jump on our website, indianoceanexperiences.com.au, and have a look at the Rock and Reef package.
Sounds fantastic. Have you got some more information on what's included in the package?
I certainly have. So it's 14 nights, Steph, and it covers your flights from Perth with Virgin. It includes 7 nights accommodation on Christmas Island, 7 nights accommodation on Cocos Island. It also includes car hire on both islands so that you can get yourself around. It includes the orientation tour on Christmas Island, and it includes the motorised canoe safari on Cocos. And all of that is available from
Oh,
$3,060. So
wow.
it's a pretty
Oh my
special package,
God,
isn't
that's
it?
2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks. Yeah, two people sharing. So that's per person, two people sharing. And yeah, it's an
Yeah, that
extraordinary
is
package.
extraordinary. I'm a big cruiser, Linda, so that pricing is kind of what people are expecting to pay if they're going on like a 7 night cruise in a balcony cabin, for instance, um, on some cruise lines. So yeah, it's definitely so affordable. So how can people learn more, Linda?
Well, you can jump on our website, indianoceanexperiences.com.au, and we've also got all the usual social channels, so Facebook and Instagram. Also, jump on the Cocos Keeling Islands Tourism Association website, which is cocoskeelingislands.com.au. They've got some great information on there. They are also on Facebook, Instagram, and they've got a brilliant YouTube channel. There's some awesome videos just taken very recently. Destination WA have recently visited both Christmas and Cocos, and you'll see them on the YouTube channels to give you a really good overview of the
I've been on
experiences that you'll
YouTube and
get.
I have creeped on Cocos a little bit
Yeah.
on YouTube. It's absolutely incredible, and it's definitely right up there next to Christmas Island on my bucket list and must to visit places. I can't wait.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it's great to actually physically see it when you jump on YouTube and see the experiences that you can have. It's yeah, just perfect. It is really, it fits in perfectly with Unplug in Paradise, believe me.
No better way to unplug in paradise than to go to Cocos and Christmas Island. Thank
That's
you
it.
so much, Linda, for your time. I really appreciate you delivering all of your amazing expertise, first-hand experiences on both Christmas Island and Cocos Keeling Islands. I've enjoyed it immensely, and I will definitely sing out to Indian Ocean Experiences if I'm ever in the region. And also, if you're looking at a really different, unique experience that you can have in Australia without passports necessary, please let me know or reach out to Indian Ocean Experiences. Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, Steph. It's been fun.
Wow. Okay. So these last 2 episodes between Christmas Island and the Cocos Keeling Islands, I hope you're getting my drift here when I say that these two island groups are in such a remote location off the west coast of Australia. A lot of people never even heard of them before. Christmas Island is not considered generally a destination, but it has so much to offer. Cocos Keeling Islands is like a mini Maldives. Like, seriously, they're part of Australia, secluded, remote, culture rich, nature rich, being one with the land, one with the sea, and everything in between. And it's all accessible from Perth on the west coast of Australia. So what are we waiting for? If you want to learn more, head over to the show notes, travelbystephanie.com.au/31. There you'll find a complete list of all the suppliers who were featured in today's episode, as well as the information on how to get in contact if you want to go ahead and make Christmas Island or Cocos Keeling Islands a solid plan on your bucket list. And just as a side note, due to the exclusivity of the actual island groups and the lack of massive accommodations on both of the islands, it is recommended to make your booking in advance. Because hey, if you're going to travel all the way to paradise, it may as well be perfect. If I can help with anything at all, please do let me know. I do hang out over on Instagram a lot these days, so if you have any questions at all, feel free to DM me over on Instagram. My account is travel.by.stephanie. Any questions you've got relating to the podcast episodes, or if you need to get in touch with anyone relating to what was discussed in the episode today with any particular questions, feel free to send them over. Also, if you're loving what I'm doing over here, feel free to leave me a podcast review over on Apple Podcasts. Your reviews and 5-star ratings are the things that help me climb the charts each and every week. You can also subscribe via Apple Podcasts and follow on Spotify. I'm also available on all the major podcasting apps worldwide in case you have another preference. Well, that's it from me this week. I wish you the best week ever, and I look forward to chatting again soon. Take care of each other and stay safe. Bye.